Okay, so some of you might recognize this as where we practically left off last time, but I have decided that I want to look like I am reading it in-game. So there's not going to be any movement this time, just the same old music. And I'm going to be reading chapter 1. I am going to set a timer so I don't overread because I do that a lot, for those of you who know me. So, I'm going to hopefully get in chapter 2 as well, but I can only hope. So let's get started. Chapter 1. Luna wanted to change the world. She knew what it should be like. She knew it could be more just and more beautiful and more safe and more kind. A world where dragons loved whoever they wanted to love, where they created art and took care of one another and were happy instead of hurtful. Surely everyone wanted that world, so why couldn't it exist already? Luna knew exactly what she wanted to change and why. She just wasn't sure quite how yet. She wished the world was more like a weaving, where she could tear out the bits that were knotted wrong or colors twisted in the wrong places, then reweave it all again, better and mended and perfect. She knew how to fix a messed up tapestry. She had no idea where to start fixing a broken world. The problem was there were so many things wrong and they all needed fixing. And the other problem was how many dragons didn't seem to see that. A lot of dragons thought everything was fine. Even some of Luna's very favorite, most loved dragons didn't seem to care all about the wrong, bad things. This had been baffling her all her life. She had started noticing the problems in her world from the first moment her mothers had walked through Cicada Hive, and even more clearly during her earliest days of school at Silkworm Hall. How could anyone else miss them? For instance, it was wrong that the hive wings had cut down all the trees, and it was very, very, very wrong that the hive wings had wiped out all the leaf wings. It was wrong that a silkwing couldn't choose her own life partner, her job, or where she lived. It was awful that Luna's father had been taken away before she even hatched, and it was unfair that Queen Wasp got to decide everything that happened to the silkwings, and they couldn't say a thing about it. A lot of dragons might argue that these things were fine, because Queen Wasp was a dragon in charge and she said so. And that also something war and something danger, so that was how the world had to be. But even if you accepted all that, which Luna didn't, it was still obviously wrong, all wrong, that hivewings could treat silkwings like tiny bugs under their talons. Silkwings were dragons too, just like them. Silkwings didn't deserve to be stepped on, sneered at, or poked without permission, punished for no reason, or ignored. It made no sense. Why would a different wing shape or a slightly different scale color or an antennae make one dragon superior and the other dragon worth nothing? But how did you fix that? How could one dragon, even a dragon who cared very much, make a whole tribe change how they behaved? How could she get into the heads of those sneering highwings, shake their brains until they stopped being awful? And she wanted them to see a better world she could picture. She wanted to stuff it into their eyeballs until every hive went, yes, that world is way better than this one. Let's be like that instead. Luna wished she had magic. Magic would be so useful for problems like this, even if it was magic like clear sights, seeing the future. She'd find a way to make it useful. But proper magic like spells and enchantments and brain changers like the old dragon fairy tales. That's what she really wanted, something to go poof. Now you were all fair and kind and incapable of cruelty or injustice. That's what she needed, but apparently it didn't exist. Or if it had existed, once in the distant kingdoms, now it didn't work anymore. She traced her claw through the sand with a sigh. The sun was rising behind her, casting golden ripples across the ocean like trails of flame silk. On the other side of the ocean was Plantala, her home, her mothers, her tribe, Blue and Swordtail. They were all in trouble. It was all a mess, and she didn't know how to begin untangling it. Before her metamorphosis, Luna had dreamed of flying. She dreamed of scattering the clouds with her new pale green wings, and she imagined sunshine pouring through her scales the higher she flew. She planned to weave tapestries with secret chrysalis messages in them. She imagined herself and Swordtail at clandestine chrysalis meetings, whispering with other silkworms about how to change things together. But as it turned out, she couldn't simply be Luna, an ordinary silkworm quietly changing the world alongside other silkworms. Now she had to be Luna the Flame Silk. Luna who spun fire from her wrist, a flame silk, rarest of all silkwings, chosen to save everyone somehow. To Queen Wasp, a flame silk was a valuable tool to be locked up and controlled. To the chrysalis and the leafwings, flame silk was a power, a weapon they could use to fight back. Luna didn't particularly like thinking of herself as a tool or a weapon. She had planned on changing the world in a silkworm way, not a setting your enemies on fire way. Setting your enemies on fire sounded fun, but it was actually extremely scary. Once you had a real dragon in front of you who would really burn you, once you had a real dragon in front of you who would really burn if you wanted them to. Not to mention the first time she had tried, her flame silk got caught in a hurricane that then blew her to a whole other continent. So that wasn't the most auspicious start for the great and glorious flame silk savior Luna. But she had to use this power now that she had it, didn't she? She'd been chosen by the universe to be a dragon who could throw flaming lassos. She didn't exactly have to be like, oh, no thank you, someone else go set Queen Wasp on fire instead of me, please. This was fine. She just had to rethink her plans to change the world. Now that she was a little bit scarier than she used to be. Now that she had a destiny and maybe had to save the world all by herself with fire. I'm not alone, though. Even if I feel that way without Blue and Swordtail. Today she was returning to Plantalia with 9 other dragons, a human, and a mission. One of those dragons went galloping past, charging into the water, plunging his head below the surface. His human stopped near the edge of the waves, crossing her arms and sighed. "Did you see one?" the Rainwing called from the air, swooping overhead. "No, of course he didn't," Wren called back. Sky's head shot out of the water again, and he shook himself vigorously, then stood with his snout tilted as though he was waiting for the water to drain out of his ears. "False alarm! Not a dolphin," he called to the Rainwing. "Just a confused jellyfish." "Pineapple," Luna reminded herself. "Pineapple the Rainwing." She was great at remembering faces because they were kind of like tapestries on dragon snouts. But usually she had trouble with names. This time, though, she was determined to memorize all the names of her traveling companions. It would help if Pineapple could pick one color and stay with that color, because her trick of picturing him in a tapestry holding a pineapple didn't work if he kept looking completely different all the time. Not that I'm complaining, having all these dragons to figure out is much better than sitting here on this beach myself, staring wistfully at an ocean that's entirely too big. "Are you still there?" a voice demanded beside her. Luna smiled over her shoulder at Giabra. "We're leaving as soon as the Icewing arrives," she said reassuringly. "Soon this beach will be so quiet and you'll miss us all so much." "That sounds great," Giobra grumbled, clumping up to sit beside Luna and scattering sand everywhere. "I haven't talked to this many dragons in literally centuries, and now I have to remember why." Giobra always moved in an odd way, which at first Luna thought was how all 2-winged dragons walk. But now that she met a bunch more, she was pretty sure there was something different about Giobra. As though she was secretly in pain, or her bones didn't fit together quite right. "I made you something," Luna said tentatively. She handed Giobra the leaf-wrapped packet beside her. The Sandwing furrowed her brow at it, as though every present she'd ever been given before had been in her. "It's just a little thing. It's terrible," Luna said in a rush. "I didn't have a loom here, so I couldn't weave you the tapestry I was imagining in my head. And then I thought maybe I could create a new kind of art with my fire. So I've been trying to carve pictures into wood with bits of flame silk, and it's harder than you'd think. So this is the best I was able to do so far. But it's still pretty awful, and you don't have to keep it if you don't want to. I just wanted to give you something to say thank you." "Thank you for what?" Giobra asked. "For helping me get better and for putting up with all of us in your space. You didn't have to come find me when I crashed here," Luna said. "I know you would have stayed in your hut and kept out of all of this." Giobra didn't say very much about herself or her past, but she had clearly lived for a long time. And Luna got the sense that the Sandwing both really wanted contact with someone else and also got very overwhelmed very quickly by normal dragon interactions. That was a guess. Jerboa was not in the business of discussing her feelings or making facial expressions. She mostly looked either bored or mildly annoyed. But Luna was familiar with the no feelings here face. Her own was more of a "see, I'm smiling, I'm not causing any problems, everything is totally fine" face. But it was still in the same veneer of face. "It's no problem," the Sandwing said brusquely. "I figured I might as well do something useful." Giobra gingerly peeled the leaves off the gift, revealing the soft white curve of driftwood from beneath. Luna had burned the shape of 2 little dragons in it, each sitting on their own continent on either side of the ocean. One had 4 wings, the other had 2. They were looking towards each other and waving. Well, they were supposed to be. The one with 4 wings looked like she was about to fall over backward, and the other one's face had come out all wrong, so she looked like she was sneezing. "Never mind," Luna said, trying to grab it out of Jiroba's talons. "It's awful. Weird-looking art fail." "Sorry." "Stop that," Jiroba said, backing away. "This is my weird-looking art fail. Get your claws off of it." "When the world is all fixed, I'll make you a tapestry," Luna said. "It'll be much better than this, I promise." Jerboa squinted at the dark clouds that were huddled like suspicious highwing guards on the far horizon. "When the world is all fixed," she echoed. Don't get your hopes up. Every time you think you fix something, something else always goes wrong." "That's the spirit," said the other Sandwing. Or Quibby, the other Sandwing, said, popping up behind her. "Hey, I have an idea. Let's stop fixing things, and then maybe nothing else will go wrong." Jerboa frowned at him. "Uh-oh," Quibby said to Luna. "I think I'm about to be called a preposterous whippersnapper." "Tell your continent they can keep this one," Jerboa said, flicking her tail at Quibby. Quibby nodded, grinned at her, and then turned to Luna again. "Tsunami wants to show you something important. If you have a minute." He pointed up to the beach where the blue sea wing was sitting with Cricket. "Oh, sure, thanks," Luna said. Her scales always gave an odd little shiver when she saw Cricket from a distance. Even though her brain knew this highwing was safe and had helped them, her body still sent out an instinctive "eep, run, hide, set it on fire" reaction to the yellow and black dragon's face. There was a difference between knowing she could trust this dragon and feeling like she could. Well, Blue trusted her. She'd only seen Cricket and Blue together for a moment before Luna was blown out to sea, and to be honest, Blue wasn't the most reliable truster of dragons. He would probably trust a giant hissing scorpion wielding knives if it said something sympathetic. Also, there was a small part of Luna that was really angry that Blue and Swordtail had fallen into Wasp's mind control clutches, but Cricket hadn't. After all that, why should this blissfully lucky highwing get to escape yet again? But the dragons Luna loved didn't. It wasn't fair. She couldn't say that out loud, though. But it really wasn't. "Luna," Tsunami said, beckoning her closer as she approached. "I'm going to share another Fitharian secret with you, because I think it will help, and I think it's important. And, you know what, it's my thing. Well, the Jade Knight and Academy's thing. I'm the headmaster, basically, and so I don't need any Queen's permission, is what I've decided. So, there." Luna said, "Okay." Tsunami held out a star-shaped sapphire that fit neatly in her cupped front talons. "This is a dream visitor," she said. "One of those animus touch objects you heard about." Luna's heart sped up. "Magic! What does it do?" she blurted. "Please say it will save my tribe." She glanced sideways at Cricket, who was unusually silent. Normally, the highwing would have been the first one asking questions, but she was staring down at her claws, half buried in the sand. She looked as though someone had set all of her favorite books on fire. "I've already let Cricket use it," she explained. "Why?" Luna thought. mutationally. Why her first and not me? How was that fair when she's one of the bad guys? No, don't let anyone see you think that. I'm smiling. I'm not causing problems. Everything is fine. Tsunami went on. A dream visitor lets you step into the dreams of a sleeping dragon, no matter where they are. So as long as it's someone you've seen before, I figured it's probably still nighttime in Plantilla, and maybe there's someone there you want to check on? She carefully placed the sapphire in Luna's talons. Luna's mind was spinning. How she could actually see one of them again, right now? It wasn't tribe-saving magic, but it was still amazing. Who should she pick? Swordtail or Blue? Blue or Swordtail? Then she realized. Did you visit Blue? She asked Cricket. Ivy nodded. I tried. She said quietly. He couldn't really hear me, though. He was having a nightmare. About what? Luna asked sharply. That was her little brother. She should be the one worrying about his nightmares. A room full of silkwings. Cricket sighed. Plants growing out of the walls, strangling them. It can't be real, can it? She appealed to Tsunami. I mean, was I seeing something he actually saw? Tsunami spread her wings. I don't know. We have dreams about real things and not real things, and both mixed together all the time. Cricket sighed, took off her glasses, and rubbed her eyes. I'll visit Swordtail, Luna said. What do I have to do? Hold it up to your forehead, Tsunami said. Close your eyes and concentrate on him. If it doesn't work, he might not be asleep right now. Or if he's having a nightmare, like Blue, you might see him, but he might not hear you. But if he's having a normal dream, you might be able to communicate with him. Luna's claws were trembling as she pressed the dream visitor to her forehead. It wasn't magic that could make all the hive wings disappear, which would have been nice, but the chance to talk to Swordtail after all this time was magic she hadn't dared hope for. They'd never gone this long without talking to each other, not since the day they met 5 years ago. Swordtail, she whispered, closing her eyes, picturing his unexpectedly sweet face. Other dragons saw his mischief, his loud jokes, and his reckless arguments with guards or teachers. They might notice that he was strong and brave too, but hardly anyone seemed to see the true Swordtail under all his noisy silliness. It was like the red leaf, the secret chrysalis symbol hidden in the metamorphosed tapestries. You had to look for it. You had to know to care about it. Swordtail understood all the things Luna saw that were wrong. Even if she hadn't noticed them before, he understood immediately when she pointed them out. He was the best, absolute best, from going to completely interested to completely outraged in the span of a conversation. Swordtail looked back into her eyes, and his full face lit up. 3 moons, she was really somewhere that wasn't a sunrise-lit beach in the distant kingdoms, somewhere dark, although a single bright light shone over Swordtail's head. He was standing up on the pedestal, his wings spread out behind him, his front talons outstretched. Swordtail! She cried. He didn't respond. His claws twitched like he wanted to reach for her, but he didn't move. Oh, she knew where they were now. This was the misbehavior's way, the place troublemakers like Swordtail were sent out to be punished whenever they disobeyed Hivewings. She walked up to the base of the pedestal and touched the letters carved in stone. They looked like real words until she tried to read them. Then they went wobbly and slipped away from her brain. Like in a dream. Swordtail, she said, this isn't real. You're not on misbehavior's way. This isn't even what it really looks like. She tried to look behind her, but there were no other pedestals, no other prisoners. The stone paths rolled away into darkness, and the darkness hummed like it was full of bees. The light over Swordtail's head was strong, too. It was too bright, and she couldn't see a fixture or a ceiling. Just the light blazing down on him. Swordtail, get down from there right now, she said. I don't know why you're dreaming about this. This is where I'm supposed to be, he said suddenly, sounding resigned and reasonable, which was not very Swordtail way to sound. I'm always here, remember? You come and sit with me. You should weave a hammock and live here because I'm probably here more and more. Because I'll probably be here more and more as we get older. Luna felt like she was about to cry. The 3 times he'd been punished like this before, she'd found a way to go sit with him for as long as she could, on misbehavior's way. The prisoners were temporarily paralyzed with the high-wing nerve toxin, so they couldn't move or speak. but they could still hear and see, so she'd read to him or sing or tell him about the day he missed. "You're not going to end up here again. I'm going to set you free, Swordtail." "No, no," he said. "I'm coming to rescue you. I'm hopeful. That's..." "What? Wait, didn't I already?" He trailed off, looking confused. "You did," she said. "Swordtail, this is a dream, but I'm real. You can get off that pedestal. Get off right now and come home with me." He thought for a moment. "I like that idea much better than standing here." He furrowed his brow, concentrating. "Moving is tricky, though. Not sure if everyone knows that. Hey, who's the boss of me? Are these my muscles or what? Don't I tell them what to do? Look at them, arguing back, not listening to me." "Hey, do what I say, stupid talons." He glared at his claws, but they stayed frozen in place. "All right, hang on, I'll fix this. I am the boss of me. Nobody else tells my talons what to do. Let's all not look at me for a minute while I yell at myself. I'm going to talk about you instead. What do you mean you're real?" "I'm in the distant kingdoms, using magic to talk to you." Luna spread her wings and flew up to him. This pedestal was also higher than the real ones on the misbehavior's way, but it was only a dream, so she did not feel guilty about shoving him off. "Yarg!" he yelped, flapping around to break his fall. "Hey, my wings can move. Check me out. Guess those ants were brain guards didn't stab me the right way this time." "Swordtail!" Luna took one of his talons and tugged him down to the ground. He settled his wings behind him and looked down at their intertwined claws. A thread of silvery gray silk spun out of his wrist and wrapped around hers. Now she was crying. She wondered if she was crying in the real world too. Sitting on that beach with Tsunami, she let a thread of harmless flame silk, the kind that shimmered gold but didn't burn, spin out and wrap around his talons, twining through his own silk. "Listen," she said. "I'm in the distant kingdoms, but I'm coming for you. I'm coming with Sundew and Cricket and some other dragons, and we're going to save you, okay? Do you know where you are? I mean, really in real life? Not in this dream?" "Cicada Hive," he said, blinking, "guarding silk wings until wasp has enough of her plant to infect them." He tried to laugh. "Very boring job, actually. It's a bit like guarding the flower shop to make sure the orchids don't make a run for it. I can see why hive guards were always so excited when I gave them something to chase." "Wasp sent you back to your own hive? So the silkwings you're guarding..." "Yeah, everyone we know," he said with an awkward shrug. "Your moms are here. They're all right." "What about Blue?" she asked. "Here too," he said in a quieter voice. "But not really, you know. It's like he's gone into a blue cocoon somewhere inside himself." "I kind of wish I could do that too. I mean, I want to fight something, but I can't. I can't do anything with these stupid traitor talons." He looked down at their intertwined claws and took a deep breath. We captured Io. So she's here too. She can't even look at me." "It's not you," Luna said fiercely. "Whatever Queen Wasp made you do is making you do. It's not you, Swordtail. Don't forget that. You're still in here, and we're going to get you away from her, I promise." "I wish I really were talking to you," she said. "These dreams always end with you being dragged away in chains made of lightning." "You are really talking to me, you Lamox," Luna said, shaking his talons. She wrapped her wings around him and pulled him closer. With a sigh, he rested his head on her shoulder. "Swordtail, there's a dragon on this continent who's like clear sight. She told us this prophecy about Plantilla and a buried secret, so we're coming to look for an abyss that we think is connected to the mind control. We're going to fly into the abyss, find a big, obnoxious plant with a grudge, and then Sunny's going to kill it a lot until it's really, really dead, and then the mind control won't work anymore and you'll be free." "Alright, isn't that a great plan?" "I feel like I missed something," Swordtail said. "Me too, it's very confusing," Luna said, "but it's going to work. We're leaving the distant kingdoms today, so pay attention. In a few days you'll be like, oh wow, they did it. The mind control doesn't work anymore. Let's go stab Queen Wasp in the face and then find Luna and hug her forever." He laughed, shaking his head to clear the tears away from his eyes. "You do sound like real Luna. Where will I find you after you save us?" "The Musset Garden," Luna said off the top of her head. "That hill where you finally confessed your desperate love for me and said you couldn't live without me." I believe my exact words were, "Hey Luna, want to be my girlfriend?" he said with a grin. "Yes, you're very lucky I can translate, Swordtail," she retorted. "And let's see, I believe your romantic response was, Swordtail, did you sit on a box of..." did you sit on this box of honey drops? Why are they all squashed? And then I was like, Luna, pay attention to me. I am trying to make us an official couple. And you were like, yeah, Silver, obviously that's fine. No, go and get us some honey drops and don't sit on them this time. You have a weird habit of squashing any candy you get your talons on, she pointed out. Or your butt on, more accurately. I don't sit on candy on purpose, he objected. I certainly hope not, she said. That would be weird, Swordtail. She nudged his snout with hers. But it's all right. I love you anyway. I love you too, he squeezed her talons, and I think I'm about to wake up. Oh no, she said, starting to panic. Already? Wait, I don't have a choice, he said. She wants us for something, Luna. I'm all right, but if you come quickly, it would be better. I will, I promise. Tell Blue we'll be there soon, she said. More silk was spinning out of her, wrapping around his wrist, trying to keep him with her. Just hold on, Swordtail, we're coming. But he was gone. But he was gone. That's a different thing. Luna was back on the beach, early morning light brushing the pink clouds overhead. Tears were rolling down her snout, and talons held a cold sapphire instead of Swordtail's warm claws. And that is the first chapter. I will have a new background for you guys next time.